Hi everybody, and welcome to this devlog of the Outbound Ghost. As you can see, this week is pretty special because it's, on the Switch, so that's pretty awesome. So I'm just going to start. And so I'm just going to go over some things that I've been doing this week just to get it back running on Switch because I haven't made a build for it in quite a while. I've been focusing on PC for the demo for the Kickstarter. And when you develop for consoles, sometimes you have to do some, tweaks here and there just to make it all work. And so you might see, not soon, but I guess you just saw like when there was the whole transition thing, there was a bit of white lines, and that's one of the graphical glitches that have come up because of it being on console. So there you go. And so that's just probably because of the resolution of the textures that I lowered just because I needed to get to run at 30 frames per second, and it's a bit difficult on Switch. But yeah, that's one of the compromises that you got to do when you develop for underperforming hardware. And it might blur a bit because my setup is really bad. I'm just on a chair with one of those hollow books holding my camera, and I don't really have a better way of recording, so I'm just going to go through a lot of the demo like this. You could probably see that in the reflection. But as you can see, we just talked to these guys. It's kind of like the Steam demo. I mean, it's the exact same as the Steam demo, but there are some key differences that I just made for the Switch version. So basically, you have the items here, right? It's pretty basic. But the problem is that for some reason, when I build this for Switch, I can't pick up items, like it just crashes. And so I had to make it a memento, which is like a key item. And so I'm not exactly sure why that happened. And that is just something, oops, sorry, my zoom is freaking out. Yeah, that's just something I had to do. And I'll have to fix that by the end of development of the console version. But for now, that's just kind of how it is. I'm just going to go through. As you can see, like, the game runs pretty well. It runs at 30 frames per second. And it's not 720p quite yet. It's like around 600p, something like that. But the end target is going to be 720. I still have like a year left to get that 100p in there, But it still looks like very much the PC version. It's obviously the same game. I didn't have to make any drastic changes. It looks very much like it's supposed to. And everything works really well as well. There is some things that don't work, so I'll show you right here. Normally there's a bullet hell section when I go past here, so I'm going to show you. So again, dashing, you can dash. I've been doing that all the time. But normally you get this ring here, and then once you get the ring, you get like these set of cutscenes, and then you faint or whatever and go into this bullet hell. And for some reason, it just straight up doesn't work. I don't know why the bullets just don't spawn. And so I removed it for the showcase because otherwise I would just be stuck there. But yeah, and you can see here, there's some small artifacts. So you can see the little black bar here. It has like a pixel difference, and that's probably just something I have to tweak. But apart from that, the skeleton of the game's there. It runs really well. It's pretty stable, as you can see. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. I played like the whole thing the other day. And it was kind of unreal because I played the other demo, or not the demo, I played another version of the game quite a while ago on Switch when I first got the dev kit. And, it wasn't as nearly as finished as this one, and so it's kind of unreal to just play this like this, it's pretty awesome. I'm just going to go get the shovel. I'm kind of speedrunning this because a lot of you have probably played the demo, and those of you who haven't probably don't want it spoiled. So I'm going to get the bone. I'm going to show a little cave area that I really like, actually. And this one runs really, really well. So these smaller areas run... If the whole game was like this, it probably could run at 1080p, 60 frames per second, even on handheld, despite like the screen not being able to be 1080p. But it probably could, so that's pretty awesome. As you can see, the loading times are a bit more on Switch, especially for these larger areas, but, nothing unbearable. I'm just going to go over and progress the story. And again, I'm just going to skip through it just because I'm not going to narrate everything. Otherwise, it's going to be a half-an-hour video. But I think it's really interesting for you guys who either want the Switch version, which is a really big part of you Kickstarter backers, or those of you who are interested in console development to see this. And something that I hadn't thought of, actually, is you can see the little, text boxes. They don't play so well with a small split screen. And so I'm considering probably changing that to be like more classical Paper Mario, how you have the whole top border covering for the text box, because it works well for PC, but it just, for this small screen, it doesn't work super well. And I'm just going to call myself Conrad, because that's my name. As you can see, everything works really awesomely. And in case you don't know, I'm using Unity for this game. It's a really, really awesome engine. It makes cross-platform stuff so easy. Well, I mean, not easy, but much easier than it would be if you had to do everything manually. And yeah, as you can see now, we're going to get the dog, or Corey, to follow us, which is pretty awesome. It's just pretty fun to just walk around, So we already have the bone, so actually, if we wait for Michael to go past here, we can already trigger this cutscene. So, talking about how Michael's a bit of a annoying guy, being all protective of his dog. But now they're all following us, so that's pretty awesome. Now we get to one of my other favorite parts of the game, of the demo, and it's this part. We got this like shining sun. I'm really happy with it. It probably doesn't look too good on the camera just because my setup is so janky. But you've probably seen the trailers and it looks great there. So crystals, these are also really cool, just to like use and move around. Just gonna skip through all the dialogue. Sorry if it's a bit, janky. It's kind of what I have to do when I'm recording the stream, but I think this is really awesome to see. Like, it's actually running on it. I'm like rotating it. This is not a trick of the eye. It actually works. And so now we're looking at the sun. Pretty awesome. And we're gonna get some lockpicks. And so I mentioned earlier that a few things weren't working in the demo for the Switch version, and one of those things is the lockpicks. And so, how the items didn't work before, I had to make everything a key item. Well, key items only have one unit, so not multiple. And so I had to, basically change that so that I could have the lockpicking work even though you don't have the right amount of lockpicks. Another thing you might have noticed is that for some reason it's skipping the pendant. I actually just noticed that, so a bit janky. The whole item and menus really need some work for the Switch, but I still have a lot of time. Pretty awesome stuff. As you can see, there's not really any major pop. You're gonna see some here, right? But that's not super major, and I can still tweak that. Shadows pop in a bit, but it's the Switch. You kind of expect that on handheld. I haven't tested it on non-handheld, but I've heard that it's the GPU overclocks, so that's gonna make it much easier for me. Lockpicking, pretty cool. For some reason, again, so the sound effect normally just plays when you press it. But for some reason, it also plays when I let go of the button. So weird stuff. I don't know why this doesn't happen on PC and it happens on Switch. But, when you develop for consoles, it's just stuff that you really wouldn't expect happening. So, and we're approaching the end of the showcase. And so there's just going to be another cutscene. I'm just going to skip through it. Well, not skip through it, but speed press. Just because it's not super important to the showcase of the Switch hardware. But there's something really interesting that I think a lot of you will like seeing coming up, which is the Shirley battle. And it doesn't really work similarly to the spawning of that bullet hell section that I explained earlier. And I'm not entirely sure why, but I'll figure that out. But there's another thing that I think would be interesting for those of you who are more interested in the technical aspect of console development. So I'm going to go and, I can't pass up this opportunity. I can pet the dog. Gotta do what you gotta do. So I'm gonna go over here, and then I'm gonna go talk to Frank, who is the guy who's gonna let us talk to Shirley. So he's moving over there. Oh, I could have messed him up and gotten in his way and not let him pass, but well, maybe in a future devlog is when I'll do that. Let's get through the text. We're gonna say yes, we're gonna help you, and let's go. So Shirley's all angry. We're gonna say boo because that's my favorite option. And yeah, so it's loading. This one's going to take a while to load. But basically what happens is you can see very low frame rate. And so for the reason for that is that you see that there's a split screen, right? And so there's this scene and there's this one. And the problem is that it's not rendering only this. So the part that's split, it's rendering the whole, as if this part of the screen was the whole thing. And it's rendering it twice. So that's really not good. And in addition to that, it's 1080p. So the fact that the game doesn't run well at 720p yet, it's just 600p or something, And then the fact that I have 2 of those textures, being the battle system, as you can see, that's not great for performance. And I'm going to show you what happens when I actually trigger the battle. And you can move around and stuff, it's just really laggy. And another problem is that the bullets just don't spawn. And so I'm really not sure why that's happening, just because it's logic based. It's not anything graphical or like to do with save files or anything. So I really don't understand why that's happening. But yeah, so see, like straight up, they just didn't appear. And that's kind of it. So I'm just going to go back to the first area and talk about some few things. As you can see, we're back in the menu, pretty awesome stuff. And yeah, it's been really awesome to work with the Switch. Honestly, much easier to work with than I expected. I haven't done any save file stuff yet, and apparently that's really difficult. But just getting the game running on it is really straight up just not as difficult as I thought, and that's really awesome. It's just Unity is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and it's really accessible as long as you have the dev kit. And I'm really happy with how the process is going. I still have to fix some stuff, of course, as I showed throughout the devlog. But I think the Switch version is going to come out really awesomely. I haven't even tested it on non-handheld mode yet, and I'm sure it's going to be really cool on that as well. I'll probably get it on 1080p with the GPU, like taking away the cap when you're on undocked. And it's going to be really awesome. And this devlog was really cool to show you guys, and I hope that you enjoyed the behind the scenes of Switch development. And I'll see you guys next week.